This episode of the Flying Pigskin Show is sponsored by BRG Apartments.
1 hour delay. Thank you. It's the Flying Pigskin Show for this Monday after the Bengals pummeled the Saints.
I was going to say the Mason City School District was on a 2-hour delay.
Are they?
Yeah, everybody else seems to be closed.
That's bad for you.
311 closures or delays today.
Right, and your kids still have to go to school, right?
They do. They do.
With Chris Riva, I'm Ken Brew. Catherine Nero's in the studio. We got a Flying Pigskin unlike any other Flying Pigskin show that's ever been produced by this group of people that we have here at Channel 9. Let me first say, though, Chris, if you don't have the Channel 9 app, the 9 on your side app, you must get that, because that is the key to everything. It's the portal.
You can stream.
It is. It's the portal into our existence. If you want to be like us, if you want to be with us, you must have the 9 on your side app.
I have it right now, but another important thing, update your phone or it just kind of clicks off like mine just did.
And you can listen to it on the way to work. You know, if you're stuck in traffic right now, if you've done a 360 donut on 471, have this app, because then you can be entertained while you're waiting for the tow truck.
We are not celebrating all of those accidents as a result of the Arctic blast.
But if you have to be in a situation like that, what better entertainment than the Flying Pigskin?
We're offering you a way to, brighten up your morning.
That's right.
You've slammed into a telephone pole.
That's right. Hey, honey, it was horrible.
There's the back bench.
Yes, Matt Lukin, Mike Strotman, and Brian.
Brian,
how do you pronounce your last name?
Sorry, what?
How do you?
Hey, I don't mean to wake you up. How do you pronounce your last name?
Nice.
Nice. Okay.
Nice.
All right.
Very good.
All right. And we do not have PJ O'Keefe with us.
We have a worthy and talented replacement, Mr. Tom Jordan,
yes.
from the newsroom. One of the many people who's been frantically at work this morning, keeping the tri-state informed.
Job well done, Tom.
Nice going.
Job well done, Matt
Closed
Lukin.
roads, closed, and you, Chris. Yes. Yeah.
So a couple of things, Chris. We're sponsored, as you saw. Somebody is dropped money on us.
That's 2 officially, right? Because we're enjoying the nice
Furniture Fair.
Furniture Fair.
Right. So we got that. We're going to go to the Big Easy today, because maybe it's not so easy down there after what happened to the Saints. We're going to be joined by Christian Garrick. He's a sideline reporter for WDWL, a big radio station in New Orleans. Mr. Satin has been out among the Vox Populi again.
I'm surprised he probably hasn't been to sleep.
And they have questions for me today.
Oh, this is outstanding.
This is great. The real McCoy will be here. We're guessing without the bag over his head, because he won his bet with Strotman. Strotman took the Saints.
It's so funny, and when he made that bet, he told me, he's like, I'm messing with Strotman right now.
He's
going to be a bad day for me.
He's inside his head to the nth degree.
And even on a snow day, we have Chris and Catherine in the newsroom.
We do, yeah.
This is huge, man.
She's following social media right now.
Aren't we all? Mm-hmm. Aren't we all? First of all, whenever I say, can I have your impressions of the game, you always say, no, of course, I don't do impressions. I do straight stand-up. But
correct.
Your impressions of that game yesterday.
Wow, what a turnaround from the Thursday night a week ago. Fantastic. It was a road win in the NFL, which is hard. It was a dominating win, and really it was a wonderful rebound performance by Andy Dalton, don't you think?
Dalton, you're never as bad as people say you are, and you're never as good as you think you are. And I think that's Andy Dalton. I think he's just kind of like there.
Although I think that Thursday night against the Browns, he was as bad as people said they were.
But he's never going to be the kind of guy where you're going to throw the team on his back and say, here, carry us to a win. There are very few quarterbacks that can do that anyway. He's not one of them. But as long as he doesn't put them in a position to lose,
correct,
I think he does his job.
No
I think
turnovers.
there's enough things right going on around him. All he has to do is just do his job. Don't try to be something he's not.
And I still will argue, congrats to the defense.
Yeah.
I mean, you kept Drew Brees in check.
Right.
255 yards,
right.
41 pass attempts, only 1 touchdown.
You know who showed up yesterday? Ray Maluga.
That's right.
He was shooting gaps, knocking guys down. That's something he almost never
right.
does. He was like Vontez a little bit. Usually he just plays. He fills the gap. He waits for the guy. He was shooting through there. He was fired up. It was very good to see.
I've done some research here.
Oh my
You always do. You're always on top of it.
Okay. There were 68 snaps of the ball for the New Orleans Saints. Okay, 31 of those snaps, 31 led to only 3 points. They had a 17-play drive early in the game. They lose the ball on downs. Remember that 4th down stand by the defense. And before that, they had a 14-play drive that they got a field goal out of. So 31 of the 68 plays only get at 3 points. That's research
and
right
that's
there.
getting it done against Drew Brees of all things.
That's research.
Well, on the other 37, they got 7, right? Is that?
Yeah. That's,
Yeah.
Okay. All right, well,
That
guys.
is math by Matty right there. It's quick math.
All right.
So yeah.
He was back there using his fingers.
Yeah.
Okay. So anyway, and Jim Breach is going to be joining us too. We think he's back from Sacramento. He was on last weekend live from
He's
Sacramento.
back on the West Coast there.
Yep.
Yeah, I think he's
A little-
back.
a
We
little
woke him up
family
like
event.
at 4 o'clock in the morning to be on this show.
Yeah.
That's
We
his commitment.
I think he's
He's
standing by
dedicated.
right now. Let's open him up here. Let's hear him. Mr. Breach, how are you? Good morning.
I'm quite well.
Are you
This is
back?
a good morning, isn't it?
Yes. Are you back? Are you back from Sacramento?
I am back. I got back earlier in the week, last week, and I have to tell you, you mentioned Frank Fats as your favorite place. So I had to do a little research because I haven't been back in Sacramento much over the last number of years.
Yeah.
And I realized that Frank Fats is actually where I went for my senior prom dinner.
In Arden?
Wow.
Was it the Arden Mall area?
No, it was downtown.
What was her name, Jim?
Polly, this is my ex-wife.
I'm
Had to
sorry.
go there, Ken. Thanks a lot.
I'm
Well, way to bring
sorry.
that one up.
Oh my God.
You're a journalist just asking questions, Ken.
I was just trying to give you some kudos to Frank Fat, but I realized it's been 40 years since I was there.
Never ask a baseball manager about his family and never ask an athlete about prom dates. Jim, what were you? I thought yesterday, Andy Dalton he's all over the map, but you're never as bad as people say you are, even though Chris thought he was on Thursday night last, and you're never as good as you think you are. I mean, that's pretty much the case for just about everybody, right?
Yes, and the guys that can kind of maintain that equilibrium are the ones that are going to be successful, because you are going to have ups and downs, and he had a historically bad game. However, Kenny Anderson had a historically bad game in the first game of '81 and goes on to win the MVP. He got yanked from that game. So everybody has games like this occasionally, like that. But you hope that it's closer to what we saw yesterday. They didn't throw the ball a ton, didn't have to. They moved the ball well on the ground. Just very effective all the way around. The defense played the run. I mean, my gosh, this is the best they've played the run all year,
Yeah.
which I think set up a lot of really positive things for them. And think about this. New Orleans has a 17-play drive and comes away with no points. Baltimore a while back had an 18-play drive and came away with no points. That's a lot of the game for a team not to come away with something.
I had watched a little of New Orleans before this game. They just really, and Sunday especially, but before that, the thing that impressed me about New Orleans, they look slow. They don't seem to have great perimeter speed. Colston is on his last legs. The kid from Oklahoma still, I think, is a nice player. He's got some speed, but they just seem like a plodding football team. Am I just watching this stuff in slow motion, or
Well, it seems like everything now goes through Graham.
yeah,
Right, they're tied in.
a big man, great receiver, but
Phenomenal.
again, not a speed guy.
Correct.
I think Cincinnati was
Brandon
just
Cooks
Cooks is fast, yeah.
yeah,
Brandon Cooks was like the fastest guy at the combine.
yeah.
And he had 5 for 50 or 56 yards, so they kept him in check pretty well. But yeah, you know what? I think sometimes when the other team's playing well, it makes your team look like they're not playing as fast. And when you know where you're going and you're playing downhill like the defense was, it just seems like you're playing faster than they are.
Yeah. I think now again, I'm all over the map too. I mean, I'm Sybil on this stuff with the Bengals. I could see him getting 4 more wins. I can.
Last Monday, it was like, how can they do it?
I don't think that's what you were saying last week.
I know. Well, that's it. I'm all over the map on this, but I could see it. I could see it win at Houston. Then they play Tampa. I think we could find 8 other guys and beat Tampa. I think it could happen. I have hope.
Yeah, I think we all. I mean, every week we have to have hope, right? Because you never know which team's going to show up. I wouldn't mind a little consistency from week to week.
Yeah.
What do you attribute the lack of consistency to?
Oh, that's a good question. Sometimes I think, like from the defensive side of the ball, I got to talk with Wallace Gilbert at the end of last week. He talked about the defensive line was working on hand placement and lower leverage, getting lower, and you saw it working. I mean, the guys stayed lower than the other guys. They controlled with their hands, they had nowhere to run, whereas it'd been like a sieve, and there was holes all over the place the last several weeks. So, is that a coaching? I would say there's a lot of that has to do with coaching. And when they coach well, and the guys do what they're supposed to do, some really good things. I mean, they have the talent. I think we all acknowledge they have talent. It's a matter of putting them in the places to succeed, and then the guys doing what they're supposed to do to succeed. And yesterday was probably the epitome of all those things coming together. And is this going to be like a New England that, they discover it and now they're unstoppable? And are the Bengals going to be able to play like this the rest of the year? With this team, it's hard to say, isn't it?
It is.
The defensive performance yesterday, Jim, how much do you think? I think a whole lot of it with our offense and defense is, can they give the defense a break? And how much is that, when an offense keeps going off the field too quickly, and then the defense is put under way too much stress, and then they fall apart over that accumulated stress. And yesterday, the Bengals ate up clock. So did the Saints for a while, but the defense had a chance to rest and recuperate and get ready. And don't you think that's a big part of it?
That's huge. That's huge. Kind of interesting, though, you guys were mentioning 68 plays and the 17, and you went through that whole number and came out in 37.
Whoa. Help me out there. Go back. Take.
He's gone.
Take. We just got nuked by Jim. We'll figure that out in a second. We'll try to fix that.
Do you think it'd have anything to do with the weather?
Yeah, we'll blame it on the weather. We're going to have Brian Neese work on that.
Well, no, that's a technical question. In all sincerity, is Skype affected by the weather?
I don't think so.
I don't think
the
so. Especially
internet,
if it
I
goes
don't
through
think so.
your cable line.
Really?
It looks like he's offline.
Is that cable like Time Warner cable? Like I got to get home box office?
As opposed to Dish, like the Dish network.
I don't know. I just have rabbit ears. But I think he was about ready to make the statement that that's probably the key to success is when they're automatic.
It is?
Yeah, it is.
Oh.
So you just do that. It's automatic. See?
Furniture fair.
We don't mess around. This is
it's
furniture
so
fair
nice.
stuff.
No, I'm good. Well, you're saying the key to success is the defensive line?
Well, no, he was saying the key to success, he says if you have 17 plays and you get 3 points and 14 plays you don't get any points, the key to that is you make the other team work. You're making them work, and they're not
how
getting
demoralizing is it when you don't, when it's not fruitful on the end of it?
You're in there, you're grinding, you're trying to make this thing happen, and all of a sudden it doesn't work.
What do you think is the reason for the inconsistency?
They're not that good.
But Matty, it's
Here we
the first
go.
3 weeks you're talking about. It's one of the most talented teams in the NFL.
It is, but they're not consistently good. I mean, that's been the whole time.
Or does it matter if you're not going to either in the NFL? You either are or you aren't.
Honestly, I think if they just stick to the run, I mean.
Are they as good as New England? No. Are they as good as Denver, despite yesterday? No.
Indianapolis?
They're not as good as Indianapolis.
Are they the best team in their division?
No.
I think so.
I think Baltimore's a better team.
Huh.
And that's just a personal opinion.
Head-to-head doesn't say so.
Who?
The head-to-head.
Who's head-to-head?
Yes, sir.
The game.
Baltimore.
We beat them twice.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
no,
we
but
got 'em.
I'm not saying that head to head that Baltimore is a better team than Cincinnati. What I'm saying is, in the grand scheme of the AFC North, I still think Baltimore is better.
The collective work, what you're saying.
That is the body of work. I just think it is. No, I head to head, of course not. I watch those games. Come on, Strawman.
Sometimes.
No, that wasn't me. That was Brian.
Oh, you all sound alike.
That wasn't me.
Anyway, yeah, we're in first place.
Isn't it weird? First to last, last back to first.
But if Pittsburgh wins tonight, they're out of first.
Right.
No.
Yeah, no. No?
If Pittsburgh wins, we'll still be in first place.
Are you sure?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
They'd have more wins, though.
Well, we have.
Correct.
We're both 3 games. If they win, we'll both be 3 games over 500, but the percentage would put us in front.
Because of the tie.
I'm not. I just
Yes,
know right
that
now
is
it's.
why,
I just know
actually.
I did the math and the percentage.
Oh,
we would be ahead of them.
now you're okay. So
Well,
he's back
I
in.
didn't.
Doing
Yeah,
the math.
I was the one who had to catch you on the first one with your.
Wait, you didn't catch me on anything.
37-31.
All you did was add on to my numbers.
Well,
what I was going to mention this to Jimmy was, I love it when A.J. Green gets mad, and he doesn't get mad often. But on that final drive, after Saints had scored and made it 20-10, Bengals get the ball back. First play is pass interference on Green. It was, I don't know whether it was or wasn't. He got mad. Then the next thing you know, there's a 38-yard pass from Dalton to Green that gets him out to midfield, and after that, there's another pass play of 18 yards that set him up for the touchdown. And oh, by the way, who scores the touchdown? Touchdown pass to A.J. Green. He played mad on that drive. I love it.
You think there's a distinct difference
Yeah, I think, but I think when it's like in any business. Look at our business. If somebody says something to you and you don't like it, whether it's on Twitter or email or your boss or something, you get mad. You just, I think you just focus more. And I think that's true for an athlete too. I think when something happens to an athlete that's not good, I think he focuses more, and I think he plays or should play better. Some guys just get mad and they just crumble. But Green got mad and played well.
Monster drive. He had a huge game as well.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
And one other thing to notice that the announcement.
Hello, Tom.
Hello. Good morning, everybody.
Tom's first enjoinder of the day.
Right. One of the things the announcers kept pointing out.
Whatever that
I don't know if Aikman was one of the announcers. They seemed kind of perturbed that New Orleans was kind of lethargic and trying to speed up the game once they fell behind. It's like they looked like the Bengals a week and a half ago, as opposed to the Saints that
Going back to what Ken was saying, slow motion.
They look slow. I mean, I know about the, what was the kid's name that was the fastest at the combine?
Cooks. Brandon Cooks.
He had 5 catches yesterday.
He's good.
I know. I mean, all that aside, it's kind of like I just thought they just look like RoboCops out there.
I think they look slow even just getting up to the line. There's no sense of urgency
No
on
sense
the
of
team.
urgency at all.
They just lackluster in trying to get a playoff.
which is surprising.
I think they were squelched by the Bengals defense. They're used to things going better than they did yesterday. This is one of the worst offensive performances they've had. Except I looked on the thing, and since they played like Seattle last year when Seattle was out of hand, all year.
You know, my favorite play of the game, I'm not condoning personal fouls, but I loved when Ialoka just killed Graham and got that flag.
Well,
I just thought it brought the attitude for the game. You know what I mean?
I think they got screwed a couple times early on in the game with some officiating, but they overcame it. That was good. They had a couple calls that I didn't like at all. Those late hits and it's football.
Yeah, what was the thing on Pecco? I didn't get that.
I know he threw him down.
Yeah, but that, I mean, come on, you could that happens
It's
a dozen
football.
times. Yeah, I know it happens a dozen times in a game.
I think the whistle blew and he just didn't hear it. But that's our guy. Big 94.
Much love.
Much love.
That's the backbench's guy right there.
How long do you think it takes him to wash his hair? Seriously, I mean, and blow
I don't
dry it.
know.
I mean, you got to wash it and then blow dry it. It must be a while, I would think, for him.
He's having a good year though. He just, for whatever reason, you seem to see him a lot more getting in the backfield. I don't know.
Yeah.
Is it me or, I don't know.
Well, I really think, Atkins is an Atkins, and I think, I think Pecco is kind of like, I think he's kind of like stepped up there in
He
that
has.
position. And he's a great guy. He's a wonderful. I
He
mean,
is.
he's just a real joy.
Now we've just had a visual introduction of.
Mr. Satin. Mr. Satin.
Aloha.
Good to see it.
It means hello and goodbye.
Yeah.
In Hawaii.
Hey, you just said
Good to see
it's
you,
so
friend.
beautiful outside.
Where'd you watch
know?
the game yesterday?
I watched the game from the Satin House.
There's a Satin House.
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah. We
Wow.
watched
Nice.
it down there.
Where would that be in the relation to where we are? What part of the city do you live in?
North side.
North side.
Yeah. Good times. It was a great win. We needed that one.
You're wearing the same clothes you wore last week too, right?
Yeah. It's kind of like Pecco's hair. Sometimes you just got to let it go. Sometimes you don't wash it. You just go for it.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's
We're all
just
natural,
you.
is what you're saying.
It's
That's
just you
right,
at that
right,
point,
right.
and that way
Right.
people know you're coming.
Yeah.
Mr. Satin, your impressions of the game?
I loved it. It's such a roller coaster season, and it's like that. It seems like with everybody.
It kind of is.
Yeah, it's crazy from last to first or first to last, and without even playing a game. It's crazy, and it's such a good. We're in such a great spot now. You look at like the NFC South, and there's the Falcons with 4 wins, hosting a playoff game. I mean that's just crazy to me. So it's a crazy year, and I love it. So last week I was hating on Dalton, and this week I was like, the Red Rifle's back.
Yeah.
What? All right, let's do it.
Right. And Mrs. Satin, she was impressed?
Yeah, she was taking some naps. There was there were some lulls in the game, so there was naps being had.
Right.
But I was still pretty energized in the game, so
that's
bringing
good,
that
man.
home. Yeah.
So in your travels to Longworth Hall parking lot, apparently you've had several people have questions for our illustrious redhead down there. Is that correct?
The other Red Rifle.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
It's crazy because there's so many fans of Ken Brew out there.
Really?
I mean, just a living legend that we have in the studio today, and every day, every Monday, that we get to grace his presence. And there's a lot of people out there with questions.
I bet there are.
We wanted to see the pulse on that, and just kind of throw it back at you.
Okay. So what are we going to do?
Stand by.
Oh, we're going to stand by. Okay, these are questions.
Hey, what's up? This is Mr. Satin down here for the Flying Pigskin, and everywhere I go, it's Ken Brew this, Ken Brew that. Well, now it's your chance to ask Brew. Chris from Dayton, what do you want to ask Ken Brew?
I just want to know if we're ever going to win a Super Bowl in my lifetime, and I'm getting older.
I would say looking
I
at
asked
you.
the same question.
Yeah, I would say looking at you, probably not, because I give you 6, 8 months tops.
Ooh.
So, yes, in all sincerity, before we all die, and that could be at any moment, I think the Bengals win a Super Bowl.
It'll be a good day. Will it
could
not?
be on-
Yeah, right.
Oh, it'll be a good day.
I will
my
predict
gosh.
this. I will predict this. The Bengals will win a Super Bowl within the next 5 to 7 years.
5 to 7.
Ooh,
We are a young
that's-
team, right? So
That's
And at
That's
my
through
age,
this
I hope
player
it's
cycle.
closer to 5.
But that's through this player cycle right now.
That's right.
We know
right.
that
So,
Marvin
you,
will
so
be
you
head
see
coach.
you see Andy taking us to the promised land.
I didn't say that.
Oh, okay.
I said within the next 5 to 7 years. One would have to think then, well, will Andy Dalton be the quarterback in 2021? I'm not so sure.
after a game like that, he could be trade bait now, right?
How many more questions do you have?
Yeah. Jason Campbell will be the quarterback. Within the next 5 to 7 years, if someone else is sitting in this chair in 7 years, I hope, Chris, you say
I
Ken
will.
was right.
Ken called it.
Thank you.
Ken
Okay.
called it mid-November on
All
a
right.
snowy
We have
Arctic
any-
blast day.
That was simple and straightforward enough. Here we go with the next one.
Thank you.
Tony from Cincinnati, if you could ask Brew anything, what would you ask Ken Brew?
So, Ken, how come you've been at 50 stations over the past 10 years?
Yes. Oh, okay.
No, you know what it is when you've been in this market as long as I have, you're kind of like viewed as a piece in the museum, okay? And every so often they move the pieces around to various places in the museum, but you never leave the museum. Think of it that way.
Let's hope I have a spot in the museum for many years to come.
Also, several contracts weren't renewed, so
Longevity is something to be revered in our business, though.
You have,
friend.
to, you have to play the cards that were dealt to you.
that's exactly
right.
right. We have more questions?
We do.
Oh, good.
There's more to come.
Zach from Dayton, if you could ask Brew anything, what do you want to ask Ken Brew?
Ken Brew, of all the times in Athens, Ohio, how many times were you at Poppers? Closing the place down.
Ken Brew, were you closing it down at Poppers?
Yeah, but it wasn't known as that back then. It was known as Magoo's.
Magoo's.
And I was big at Magoo's. There was a. I don't want to get.
That was
I don't want to get.
slammed down there.
I don't want to get too
It's
deep
an
into
hour
this.
show.
Is this going to go back to the prom date question?
But let's go back, if you will, to the mid '70s. Now, what were big in bars in the mid '70s? There were cages where dancers, go-go dancers, would be in these cages.
I don't know if that was big in bars, maybe just big in that bar.
No, it was.
How do we bring that back?
Hang on a second. They had these cages. Okay?
Wasn't that just on like Bond and Starsky and Hutch or something like
No,
that?
but no.
And apparently Magoo's.
I'm going to paint an even better picture. At this bar,
That's a pretty
the
good
dancers had very short
Oh,
white miniskirts. This was their uniform, and boots. And
Oh,
sometimes, and the boots changed every so often. They'd be short boots and then some knee boots. Well, I would go there because there was a dancer that I was interested in.
Okay, what was her name?
only one?
They're all named Tiffany.
Yes.
But
They're all named Tiffany.
yeah, but I would yes. So to answer the question, I would go to what is now. What did you say the bar was?
Poppers. I
Poppers
think.
now, Magoo's.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
don't
no,
know.
it was Magoo's back then, and I would go there and close it down every so often because I had
Tiffany
a
was there.
vested interest in Tiffany.
I'm not
Was
going to ask
John
any more boot
Popovich
questions.
there with you, and did he have a? No, I'm sorry, we don't want to go there.
John was a bit older than I was. He,
Okay.
No, he.
All right.
He might have been in a cage once himself. But you'll have to wait till he's guest hosting this to ask him that
Did
question.
you go to Shaflaki's? Is that what it's called? And get Heroes after that?
Oh my God, that's been there forever. It's down by the
yeah.
bus station.
Yeah, that's a good place.
Yeah, and it was beautiful because it was open till 4 a.m.
Right when you're coming home from Magoo's.
Exactly.
Trying to talk Tiffany so seriously. I'm a J school major. I'm gonna be a big television anchor, maybe 50 stations in one city.
That's right.
I'm gonna get my own spot in a museum, Tiffany. We're going to get you all the boots your closet can handle.
Right.
I'm going to take care of you, Tiffany.
This internet thing is going to be big, sweetie. I can make you big.
Well, it was like the Blues Brothers playing there.
Please
behind
tell me we have
chicken
more
wire
questions.
Do we
This is getting good.
we have more questions?
Yeah,
oh,
I
good.
think we do, actually.
Good.
We've saved the best for last.
Oh, good.
Anthony Munoz right here, flesh and blood, the all world right here. So, Anthony, if you could ask Ken Brew anything, what would you ask Ken Brew?
Wow. I guess my question to Ken Brew is, Ken, how would you handle the bull rusher on a 3rd and 12?
I do what you do, Anthony. I just hold on every play.
Oh,
wow.
That's just rude.
No.
You notice the bookends didn't really laugh at that. We were like, oh, okay.
No. How would I handle the bull rush?
Just be a Hall of Famer like him. That's how you would.
I'd have to put on some tonnage here because I'm a little light. You know, if you notice, most offense. Well, there was nobody as great as Anthony. Anthony was the best. Wrote the book, in my opinion, best tackle in the history of the game. But most of these guys, they're proportioned in that they're a little. You know, they got some ballast. They got, a little ballast in the back, a little ballast in the front. I have to put on some ballast to handle that. But could I handle it? Yes. What I couldn't handle would be the rip move. You know what the rip move is?
Yeah.
Come on.
Reggie
get
White.
Your 1 yard and read.
Reggie White made that famous. He would just be right past him.
So you got the bull rush, you got the rip move, and then you got the swim move.
You got the swim.
Don't forget about the spin.
And the spin move.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's how I would probably handle it. But I have to put on maybe 200 pounds. I don't think
maybe 225.
We can bring some snacks in, bro.
How many questions did you get that day? They lined up for it, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. It was crazy because we're over there minding our own business, and Anthony Munoz just brought us into our conversation. He's like, "Hey, I heard I'm on the Satin All World team. Let me get in here."
He saw that.
Yeah, and he's just
That's
like, "Come on." He's like, "Sat, let me get in."
And
on
you're like,
this.
Rudy gave me a book.
Yeah, right. I couldn't believe it. The greatest NFL football player of all time was down there tailgating and hanging out, and he just makes him feel like he's one of us. It was great. Great to see him down there.
I've seen Anthony walking around the stadium more than once over the years. I don't know what he's doing, and I don't have the best seats I'm not in the club level or anything, but I've seen him walking around, and people just, cheer him.
I forget who it was. It might have been Jim McNally. Totaled up the number of hits he took to his shoulders over the course of his career of game and practice, and the number was astounding. It was like 12,000, over 12,000 shoulder hits.
Really? And that's ultimately one of the nagging injuries he dealt with, right?
Oh,
shoulder injuries.
But what was cool about him is a lot of these guys, they play here and then they leave,
right.
Or they play here and they leave in the off season. He just stayed here.
Well, then there was Max Montoya still lives near you, doesn't he?
Nice. Yeah, but I mean, it's kind of cool that some of these guys stay here.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, and he obviously
it has been embraced by this community.
Yeah.
2 kids that were terrific athletes. I just,
They got he's got a shop down in over the Rhine too, which is great. He's got a foundation down there, pretty nice.
Awesome.
Yeah,
OTR is thriving, friend.
That's right.
Yeah, he looks good too, doesn't he?
He does. He looks really good.
I mean, he just kind of like.
Yeah, he's like a lot of guys who are like linemen like that blow up after they finish because the only reason they weren't really fat when they played was because they had to play football. But he's actually seemed like he's slimmed down.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah.
Well, which is smart on his part because
He'll live longer.
you can't carry that weight as you get older. What Anthony's got to be like 60? Would he be 60 now?
I don't know the answer to that question.
He's going to be.
I'll look it up while you guys talk.
He was drafted.
He came out in 80, which I think makes him like 5 years older than me or so. He's mid 50s, I think.
Yeah, he would probably. I'm just doing the math. Be about 55, 56.
Yeah.
Massive hands.
Oh my gosh.
56, born in 58.
Do you realize how good that line was back then, by the way?
Oh, man, was it good.
I mean, do you remember, you're old enough to remember that somewhat, aren't you? The line?
Absolutely. So, yeah. Are you talking about the 81 or are you talking about the 88?
Let's talk. 88, you had your tackles were Munoz and Walter.
Correct.
The guards were...
Was Montoya gone by then?
No.
So Montoya left to go to the Raiders from there,
right? Montoya was one guard.
And was Remington?
Remington was the center.
What's the guys that coach? What's the guys who coach in?
Bruce Kozerski.
Yeah, he coaches in Northern Kentucky.
Kozerski played every. I think there was one year. It might have been when I was doing the games. He played every position on the offensive line in one season.
But when you think about that '88 team, I mean, they smash people running the football.
That's it.
You got to be a good you got to be a good offensive line if you could just in the NFL control week in and week out.
Yeah.
the line of scrimmage.
I mean, they just
It was like
dominated.
Icky went for 8 yards every time he carried the ball.
Well, we've
It was-
I know.
James Brooks. Oh,
Yeah.
oh man.
I mean, they almost had 2,000-yard carriers that season.
We
I mean, I think
fixed
Brooks
we
was like
fixed our
990.
Skype machine.
Hey, Breach is
Yes.
back.
No. Well, Breach called me. He said that what happened was Windows decided to do an update configuration on his computer right
Nice.
then.
It happened to me on set this morning, Matt.
I said that's no excuse.
It
Jim."
happened to me on set this morning with the Surface tablet.
Yeah.
Did,
Like,
did
they
he have any
changed it.
final? He have any final thoughts?
No, he wanted to ask a question, but I was busy talking to you guys. But we have Catherine Nero joining us now.
Oh,
yeah, here she
good.
goes. Okay, here.
Kids. So yeah, I feel like Tony Reale, Kazurski coaches or coached at Holy Cross. There you go.
Thank you.
We
Thank
were
you.
looking for it. And were you guys talking about was it Munoz or Montoya that lost all the weight that you were talking about? I missed that part.
Munoz looks great.
He does. They both actually look good. You know Max Montoya rides horses now. He rides like chariot, like little.
Yeah.
Does he
it's
race
like a
them?
dressage kind of thing. It's very interesting.
Yeah.
Like little tidbits. Hey, you want to know what's going on social media with our Bengals?
Yes, but can I ask you a question first,
Sure,
Catherine?
sure.
Rumor has it you were in Memphis over the weekend.
I was in Nashville this weekend.
Nashville.
I was, yes.
Were you
We had
down
a
there?
little reunion of sorts.
Oh, really? Was it a girls' weekend?
It was a girls' trip, yes. It was fun. So it
Do
was
they,
all the
what
the
is that?
things
What
that
happens
girls like
on
to
those
do.
trips? What happens on a girls' trip?
You know, we shop, we complain about our husbands, we
Pillow fights.
we complain about our husbands, we drink, and we complain about our husbands. So there's
Wow.
Thank
Little
God
did we
Ken
know.
and I's wives don't go on these types of trips. There's no need for that.
Yeah,
No.
yeah. By the way, speaking of which, dude,
Yeah.
you people need some estrogen up in here.
Right.
I plug in and I hear Tiffany and mini skirts.
Yeah.
We're talking about Magoo's in the cages.
I
Yeah,
was
Cat,
just
Context, Cat.
painting a picture, okay? Just
Sure,
painting
sure.
a picture.
Gotcha. On
Okay.
it.
Yeah.
Let me paint you a picture of social media, my friends.
Okay.
Yes,
You know,
please
it's
enlighten
odd
us.
that on a day when Andy Dalton actually played well and the Bengals in general played well, that what is really trending the most are the two women, the two Bengal fans who, Gresham threw the touchdown football to.
Yes, that's right.
And poor Tony Williams, because his name is everywhere, the guy who elbowed the one out of the way. I just got off the radio with WGRR, and they said that they spoke with both women this morning. One is a principal in Frankfort, Kentucky. She was the one with the short, dark hair. And she said that in general, I mean, even the Saints fan himself was really super nice about it, but he was like, no, I'm not giving you the ball. Not doing it. But I have a feeling it's going to go up on eBay at some point. But nonetheless, that's a big deal, and that poor guy is just getting absolutely reamed on social media. I hope he is not on Twitter because he will not like the four-letter words used on his behalf.
Wow. I thought I thought that was like low rent.
And he apparently was very unapologetic about the whole thing.
Well,
No,
even
he
to
kept-
this moment.
Yeah, I mean, he says, no, I'm keeping it. I caught it. Come on, man.
Which I didn't even think they'd let you keep footballs when
I
they
see,
went into
that's
the
exactly
stand.
my point. I didn't think they did either.
If they're handed into,
I guess
yes.
if they try to give them away, but if they hand them to the wrong guy, they still make it.
Well, and Jermaine Gresham tweeted the one saying, I'm going to take care of you. Even though they did get a ball, he's like, I'm going to figure something out and get you something. So that's at least good. You got that going for it.
And he pulled another bonehead move yesterday when he tried to reach over the line. And they said the announcer said they call it a touchdown pass. So I don't know what, but
I agree
when
with
he's
that,
getting
Matt.
tackled there and reaching out, that's one of the dumbest things I've ever seen.
If it was a touchdown pass, then the fumble would have had to have occurred after it crossed
Right.
the goal line.
It didn't make any sense, but yeah.
I don't either. You thought it was a pass?
No, I totally agree with Matt.
Well,
There's no
the-
way that
Oh,
can't
oh,
pass.
okay.
The announcer said they were calling it a touchdown pass, but they also said they don't understand that
If they would
either
have called
because
that back because of the kick, would you have been surprised?
I thought one of the few times when they went to those officials now that are on most shows, he was right. That you can't really say when he's under all those people and his leg is down there that wasn't just what he had to do to get his momentum to get up and get out. Even if he did kick it on purpose, it was
Gotcha.
it was right next to his foot and he moved his leg.
I believe that's David Boston's dad who was that official.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Former Ohio State Buckeye.
But the fact of the matter is I thought, Gresham can't escape criticism. I mean, it's like he does something. He fumbled, but he got it in the end zone, and people are still on his back.
Well, why does he have to dance afterwards? It's like you almost blew the play.
He
You know? I mean,
Celebrate the touchdown.
You got
How
problems?
much to
God.
celebrate? If that would have happened against Cleveland, we'd have been like, yes.
I guarantee. I mean, I couldn't imagine a coach like Belichick exactly liking that. You know, as much as
Yeah,
he
but
fumbles.
Come on, the guy
can't
doesn't have a
stop.
pulse.
Let me just ask a quick question here. Gresham's up after this year. Do you think they re-sign him?
I don't think it's going to happen.
I don't
Isn't he
think
on the
so.
trading block? That's what all the.
You got Eifert. Why would they?
Well, I love the combination of the two, though.
I mean, that's a lot of money to drop on one position.
position,
What do you
yes.
think, Matt? Do they re-sign him?
Gresham? I wouldn't doubt that they would, but I don't. He's stupid. I mean, he just keeps doing dumb stuff. He can't catch the ball. He's big and talented. If he could catch the ball and you could trust him, he would be great. But he does things like he did yesterday. He's got 3 or 4 guys on him, and he's reaching out there when.
Ken brings up a good point, Matt. He's trying to make a play. He's trying to make a play for a team that desperately needs.
I think we already had the first down. He didn't need to, you
Every
reach the
time.
ball out like that. That's just going to be problem.
I usually, you watch a game with a group of guys, and every time he touches it, everyone in the room, don't fumble it.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's every single time he touches the ball.
That's how I am. I'm just like, go to the.
Catherine, do they re-sign him?
I thought this was an all-boys club. I apologize. Yeah, I think they do, but only because I think that's the. Hold on, I just lost my earpiece. I think that's just what the Bengals will do. Whether they should or not, that's still up in the air. Hold on, I'm going to fix this so I can hear you guys. The melodious tones of Ken Brew.
Yeah.
This is a technical
Hold
difficulty.
on, Caddy's still talking about Tiffany.
Old place. There we go. There we go. That's
Just another Tiffany
I
reference.
sit there for 5 minutes and can hear, and now I can't. All right, there we go. I'm good.
Were you upset with us that we had excluded you there for the last 2 minutes?
I'm used to it. It's no big deal. Totally kidding. Totally kidding. No, I'm good. You want some more info? Some more social media?
Please do. Yes. Yes,
okay.
please.
So I like this one guy. He says that he's calling the Andy Dalton, up and down the Red Rocket roller coaster. And so basically, it's funny. You said that even when, like Mike said, even when Gresham touches the ball, people are like, oh, I don't know. It's the same thing with Dalton. I mean, he had a decent performance. It's so like, well, what's going to happen next? And well, do you remember last week? It's like they can't live in the moment. They want to figure out where it's going next. So, but at the very least, Andy Dalton on the rise, Mohamed Sanu not so much. And that poor guy, it's coming in fast and furious now on Tony Williams. It's just, it's scrolling so fast I can't even keep up with it.
He'll be on the Conan O'Brien show probably Thursday night.
So I ask you this question, Ken Brew. If he keeps the football, puts it on eBay, what's it worth? It's not worth all of the...
It's not worth anything,
no.
No. It's worth whatever the ball costs.
Yeah.
Catherine has many duties this morning. We have to let her go.
Thank you,
She's
Kat.
been just wedged us in between many things she has to do.
Anything for you guys.
No,
I'll watch the rest of it.
I understand there's some bars in Nashville.
There are 1 or 2.
Yeah,
some of them require cowboy boots. Thankfully, I had some.
You had cowboy boots?
Well, of course I do.
Was anybody named Tiffany with you?
Yes, but they had 2 E's.
How can you complain about your husband, by the way? He's a great guy.
No, he's good publicly, Mike. Don't.
That's my guy.
Little OCD. Little OCD.
Okay.
Thank you, Catherine.
Thank you.
We were wondering whether we were going to have Christian from New Orleans.
Yes.
I think that we have success. Christian is joining us on the phone. Let's open that up there. Christian, good morning. How are you doing?
Good morning. Great to be with you guys. Doing pretty well. It's cold down here in New Orleans. You guys got out of here just in time. At least the Bengals did.
Look, Christian, let me ask you a question. This is just an impression that I have, and I don't know if it's universal. The Saints look slow. I know all about their wide receivers and all that, but I mean they just look like a plodding football team. Is there a speed problem on that team?
That's a great question. I think there's an energy problem on this team, especially the way they played yesterday. They did look slow. They looked like a team that was going through the motions for the most part yesterday. And I'm not trying to take anything away from the Bengals. But Cincinnati beat them fair and square in every aspect of that game pretty soundly, too. But, yeah, I mean, it looked like a team that, to me, that I hadn't seen under Sean Payton and Drew Brees really ever since I've been covering them, and I've been with them covering them since 2009. So, yeah, I mean, they just looked like a team that looked a little disinterested in a lot of ways yesterday.
I thought Brees couldn't do what he does best. He couldn't throw the ball downfield. He was throwing a lot of check-down passes.
Yep.
And my guess is that after the game there was probably some frustration on his part or Sean Payton's part. What do they say about that aspect not being there for them?
Well, you know what? That's what's funny is Drew and Sean really don't get that frustrated. They try to remain pretty even keel, and it's kind of frustrating to the fan base because they might mistake that for a lack of passion, which I don't think that's the case. Really, they chalked it up to, hey, Cincinnati was just playing that well on defense. They weren't allowing them, and it's a smart approach. Whenever anybody plays the Saints, you got to make them earn their way down the field. Don't give up the big play. That's what they thrive on. And eventually, any offense, if you make them go 14, 15, 16 plays, they're probably going to have an undoing play at some point, whether it be a penalty, a turnover, or what have you. Unless you're playing the Saints defense, who can't get teams off the field. And you can go earn a 14-play, 15-play drive without any kind of consequence because they're not very good defensively. And you saw Cincinnati do that yesterday. I mean, there's a number of drives for the Bengals that were long, time-consuming drives, and really that's the kind of the blueprint that teams have used to give the Saints trouble in the past. And sometimes it works, and sometimes it doesn't. It certainly worked for Cincinnati yesterday.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny because this is the Bengals are a team that are on a roller coaster week in and week out. As a journalist, what did you expect from a Cincinnati team that just played so poorly on a national televised game against the Cleveland Browns on that Thursday night before?
Well, I didn't expect Andy Dalton to have a quarterback rating of 2 like he had that Thursday game against Cleveland. And, you know, I have a lot of respect for Marvin Lewis, the guy. I visited him with him, you know, at Senior Bowls, and, you know, and watched him, you know, conduct himself in press conferences, and, of course, the Hard Knocks episodes. I've always been impressed with Marvin Lewis as a coach. And, you know, I knew that he would have the Bengals ready to play against the Saints. What I was shocked by, honestly, is just how lethargic the Saints were. And it looked like, I mean, they were at home. I mean, traditionally, they're really tough to beat there. Now they've dropped 2 straight in the Mercedes-Benz Superdome. So I was expecting the Bengals team to come in here and give this team fits and give them a hard time. But I didn't expect the Bengals to win by 27 to 10 score. Now, if you'd have said the Bengals come in and beat the Saints by 3, I could see that. But I didn't expect a 17-point differential and really a manhandling. That's really what the Bengals did to the Saints.
It's been a long time since the Saints had that poor of offensive performance. You cover them on the sidelines, I think, for your radio station.
Yeah.
What was their attitude or tone? I mean, you say that they don't get upset and don't get too excited, but I was looking at the statistics. Other than maybe last year when they played Seattle, which Seattle had a great defense last year, they scored points on everybody, and they couldn't do anything yesterday points-wise.
Yeah, I mean, it was certainly, you know, when you looked at it, you thought, gosh, you know, all of a sudden they got just 10 points when you're used to seeing at home they average over 30 points a ball game. We had seen this Saints offense struggle on the road at times, you know, this year and in years past, where they might have a 10-point performance, 14-point performance, what have you. But, man, nothing quite like that in the Superdome. I can't remember the last time they scored 10 points in the Mercedes-Benz Superdome. And, you know, I think that a lot of it had to do with the fact that the Bengals were just a more physical team and just beat them up. And you know, the players kind of downplayed it, but I think that game last Sunday against the San Francisco 49ers in the Superdome took a lot of wind out of their sail and took a lot out of them emotionally and physically for this ball game against the Bengals on Sunday.
Christian, it's great having you with us. Thanks. It is the Mercedes-Benz Superdome. It's not the Hyundai Superdome. It's
yeah, it is the Mercedes-Benz Superdome.
All right. Listen, I love your town, man. My son went to school in New Orleans.
Tulane?
Oh, great.
Tulane, yeah. Always.
Tulane, absolutely. Roll waves. Yeah, look, it's a great town. Look, I've been to Cincinnati a few times. Matter of fact, my first Saints game I ever went to as a child, honestly, was against the Bengals in 1987 on December 23rd. So,
wow.
Yeah, I still have the tickets, and I remember that game well. I was a kid. My dad was stationed at Fort Knox, Kentucky, in the Army, and he took me up there as a Christmas present. It was snowing that day. Boomer Esiason was the quarterback of the Bengals.
That was the scab season.
A lot of fun.
Yeah, that's the season. Wasn't that the strike season? That was the strike season.
Yeah, it was the strike season. Yeah. The Saints trailed 24-3 at half, and they came back and won in the second half. I think 44-20.
That was the tale of many games.
The Bengals had a horrible year that year.
They always get out big leads.
Yeah. Well, listen, you work for one of the great radio stations in America, and we appreciate your time here. Christian Garrick from WWL in New Orleans. Thank you, Christian.
All right, thank you. All right, bye-bye.
Yeah, kid went to Tulane, a drinking school with a football problem. Well, look who's here.
Well.
It's the real McCoy.
So? Didn't I tell you so? Didn't I tell you so?
He's been right all year.
Mike McCoy, if you've been with us, Mike, picked the Bengals in this game, and for some reason, Mike Stratman decided he was going to go against his Bengals and took the Saints, and once again, it's the power of the green that he understands as opposed to the power of the team. It's the power of the green. It's not the power of the team.
Bingo. As soon as these Bengal fans learn to bet with their pocket and not their heart, they'll be okay. And I hate to reiterate on this, but I did Stratman the same way 2 years ago.
Really?
He's a Bengals. Hold your head up high now. He's a Bengals fan, and I took the Bengals against the Saints, and they did the same thing. But it wasn't a surprise because New Orleans, they're old, they're slow, and they're not playing well at all. And then the Bengals were embarrassed on Thursday night, and they stepped up and played like they should have played. But my deal is, now they're going to turn around and lose Sunday.
They're going to lose Sunday.
They're going to lose Sunday to Texas. They're going to lose. I guarantee
I would not be surprised because this is the way the Bengals operate. You know, they surprise everybody. They surprise each week. It's just a different kind of surprise.
Reel him in, Chris. Which way is it? Are we going to win 5 or not?
Yeah, you're right. Until he sees getting 4 more.
Before we go any further, Strati, get my money back there, man. Don't be holding back on my money, dig in your pocket and get my money.
All right, well, you guys performed some sort of illegal transaction here. Do you think the Bengals... Well, he wants change. Can he change to 10?
I can change his mind.
He did change my mind.
I don't know about that, friend.
I can change his mind.
Now, I see. I've kind of come to this vision here in the last the 12 hours. I see 4 more wins up for them in these final 6 games, and they will get to 10. Do you have the same vision I have?
How many times do you see them beating Pittsburgh?
Once.
Well, all they got to do is once if they can get these next 2.
I know.
They're not getting to 10. They're 8-18, like I told you.
Well, they can't be 8-8.
Well, whatever. I can't add and I can't count, but I know what money looks like.
8-7-1 is what you're saying.
Okay, 8-7-1.
Which would be a winning season for Marvin Lewis.
If the Bengals could play the way they did yesterday consistently, nobody can beat them. But they're just not consistent like that. They really aren't.
I'll tell you what, Houston always gives them trouble. J.J. Watt yesterday was unbelievable. And if Ryan Mallett is the guy, if that's their guy going forward, he looked pretty darn good yesterday.
That game yesterday, what was the game won yesterday? It wasn't Andy. No, it wasn't Andy Dalton that won that game yesterday.
Oh, that game.
Yes.
Are you going to say defensive side of the football?
Nope.
The line of scrimmage?
There it is. That's where that game was won yesterday.
That's what I said.
Line of scrimmage. You know, and I'm going to give Dalton a little credit. He didn't get all willy-nilly and start throwing the ball all crazy and that sort of thing. Well, he played in the realms of what he could do.
Because oftentimes when you sit here, Mike, you always say Andy Dalton
sucks.
But now you're saying he didn't?
Yesterday he didn't, okay? But I will put ups on it. He didn't suck, he upped.
What?
I better leave it alone before I say something else. But no, really, I got to give credit where it's due, Ken. Really, honestly, he played decent yesterday. But will he play the same way this coming Sunday? I don't think so. I really don't.
That's the problem, Chris, is you don't know what you're getting.
You got to give. I think Hugh Jackson deserves some credit because I think they called a game that was relatively conservative, and he didn't have to throw the ball too much. They were lucky they had so much success running, and Jeremy Hill bailed them out again.
That's it. But where was Hugh Jackson in the Browns game when he forgot completely about the running game? See, I think it's Mike saying you don't with this team you don't know what you're getting when we do
that could be, and I think Hugh would even concede that he and Andy had a terrible game against Cleveland. But
I will argue that Hugh has worked around Andy all season long.
He has
the short passes, the wide receiver screen.
That's the only way I think he's successful is that you shape. He can't just pull you out of the fire and lead you down the field when everybody thinks he's going to throw the ball.
What was his passer rating yesterday?
157, 143, something. It was huge.
How many yards did he throw for?
I was thinking about you on this. I think 233.
220.
Okay, where's the 300? See, he's just a little bit above average, just a little bit, And if he got, 60, 80 more yards, he could have been in there. But he's just a little bit above average. But
he only threw 21 times.
Okay, but
when you have a good run game, you don't need to throw for 300 yards. Tom Brady throws for 300 yards because their run game is, it's getting better now, but
pretty darn good last night.
It's been suffering.
Is this the same guy sitting back there talking about some 12 and whatever? Please, come on. Hey.
They can still do that.
They do need to run the ball. I mean,
They do need to run the ball, and they did run the ball.
Well, all teams need to run a little bit and pass a little bit, but don't try to bail them out, man. They are who they are.
Tom, do you have
There
a
were a couple long passes down the field to A.J. Green.
Tom, you got a point.
Mr. Dalton yesterday, 16 of 22 for 220 yards, 3 touchdowns, of course, but his passer rating blossomed to a robust 143.9. And
big.
Mr. Gresham, it appears that he fumbles every time he gets the ball, but he's fumbled 10 times over the course of his first 5 years, lost 6 fumbles, and he's fumbled twice this year, but hasn't lost a fumble technically, even as of yesterday. And may I throw this in while I have the opportunity? I want to say happy anniversary this past Saturday to my wife of 29 years, Jackie.
Yes.
And my son's birthday today, 25-year-old Joshua. Thank you.
And my nephew
That's
Carson.
great. Someone actually put up with you for 29 years?
Yes, sir.
She deserves combat pay.
That's right.
Can we get back to football? Now, A.J. Green,
Enough of that.
with him being there, that really helps a lot too, don't it?
Oh, it
Because
does, yeah.
He was there last
when he
week,
went
though.
to A.J., he had one ball. I mean, it was right on target. He threw it through a window like about that size.
Yeah.
They actually dropped a
And
couple
that
that
was
he could have
awesome.
completed yesterday.
And like I said, I'm going to give Dalton credit when it's due. But, you got a guy like A.J. Green, man, I'm telling you.
Oh, he can make you look good. But the fact of the matter is, we talked about this before you came in here. A.J. Green played mad on that last drive, and I think I need to see more of that, not just from him, but from this team. Play mad.
Exactly, I agree with that.
Play
Wholeheartedly
mad.
as a group.
But what's up with your boy Sanu? Now he's dropping stuff.
He was.
Do you know he's one of the most, according to a guy I had on my radio show this week, he's one of the most overrated players in the NFL. Mohamed Sanu, because he leads the league now. I think he has 10 drops now.
Oh.
10 drops.
And may I say a little bit too about what's his name, Whitworth or whatever his worth is. That dude, he's gonna kill them in penalties, man.
He does.
Unnecessary stuff, It's like, come on, dude, get your act together.
You know what we didn't talk about at all today was Burkhead.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
He was good.
Boy, that white dude can run. I'm telling you, that white boy. I'm giving him credit.
No,
they need to use him a little bit more.
They can't use him more.
No.
How you got Bernard coming back. You got Hill there. If they can run it out, I mean, if they're running Rex Burkhead out there, that means that they're not giving the ball to the other two guys.
That boy caught a pass yesterday that neither one of Hill or your boy wouldn't have caught it. He dove for that ball, man, and kept that drive going.
You know
Because
what?
he has to or he doesn't have a job.
You know what?
I agree, but you got a guy like that. Give him some playing time.
If it's me, I stick Jeremy Hill out there till he stops running for 150 yards a game. I don't care about Gio Bernard. Nope.
So you put Gio as your third down back.
Yep. You bring this guy in here. When he stops running for $150, then I move on to Bernard.
He won't have 100 yards coming Sunday. I guarantee you he won't.
Texans have a good defense. So
No, they do have a good defense. They really do.
He'll probably be around maybe 47, 50 yards somewhere.
Do you have a bet yet with Mike?
Well, I'm going to get him. He said he's going to give me $5 every time the Bengals
Mike-
win, so I don't know what he's going to do.
Round about this point in the year when McCoy's spun this mic around a couple times, this mic stops betting because he's
runs out of money.
But, I
You're in
got to
my
let
head.
him win a few because if I keep beating him like a drum, he's not going to come at me. So I got to throw something at him and let him win a few, But
This sucks.
Oh, you finally admit that Andy Dalton sucked.
No.
I heard, what?
No,
Your head games suck. You're getting me.
What?
You got me. You're getting me good.
That's what I'm supposed to do.
You know what you need, Mike? Honestly, you need a wingman back there. Somebody to just take care of you, because you're not going to get it from Lucan. But I'm just thinking, if you had somebody,
I tried, but he doesn't listen.
Somebody to
Okay,
take
you can
care of
ask
you
his
back
wife.
there. Well, I'll tell you what. I think I think you may be right. I don't know. I think
Against
maybe
the Texans?
Now I'm not feeling so good about those 4 wins.
I think they got to do it the next 2 weeks.
When have I
They've
ever
got
lied
to
to
do
you?
it.
Maybe.
Now I'm thinking maybe they only got 3 left. I don't know. We got to see. I'm not. I don't know. What do you think?
I think they got to do it the next 2 weeks.
They're going to win.
I do.
The 2 in a row.
I think.
That'd
I'm
be 3 in a
hopeful.
row.
Real league.
I probably am, but I'm hopeful. It's hard to say who shows up.
Tampa Bay's going to get them.
I don't know about that, but
Okay.
I wouldn't.
The only
totally
game I've seen
disbelieve it,
Tampa
but-
Bay play this year is against Pittsburgh, and they look good.
We're back on next Monday. We want to thank Furniture Fair for this wonderful furniture that we get to sit on each week. These are chairs that actually have motors in them. We can go up and down, back and forth. It's wonderful. Extend the legs. There's our cast. They're terrific. They're in here every Monday at 6 a.m. to make sure that everything is on the air properly. Mike, it's always good to see you again.
Nice seeing you.
Mike
again.
McCoy, Chris, thank you.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
BRG.
Working the photo already. I got to go back to work.
And our new sponsors, BRG Apartments.
Yes, is that your new place, residence?
BRG?
Yeah.
I'm there. They got a place for me, a crib?
They do.
Wow, a bee home. I love that. Thanks, everybody, for watching. We're back in next Monday, right after the Bengals-Texans game, 7 o'clock and only on WCPO.com. It's the Flying Pigskin. It's what made Al Gore.
Who dat?